Senate will come to order. Mr. Schaffler, please call the roll.
Senators Amabile, Baisley, Ball,
Excuse.
Benavidez, Bridges, Bright, Carson, Catlin, Cutter, Danielson, Doherty, Exum, Frizzell, Gonzalez, Hendrickson, Judah,
Excuse.
Kip, Kirkmeyer, Colker, Lindstedt, Liston, Marchman, Mullica, Pelton B, Belton R, Rich, Roberts, Rodriguez, Simpson, Snyder, Sullivan, Wallace, Weissman, Zamora Wilson. Mr. President.
Let's do this. The morning roll call is. The morning roll call is 33 present, 0 absent, 2 excused. We have a quorum. Senator Wallace, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, members, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Carson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate Journal of Friday, April 10th, 2026 be approved and corrected by the Secretary, as corrected by the Secretary.
There we go. You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed,
Aye.
no. The ayes have it. That motion is adopted. Senate Services.
Correctly printed, Senate Bill 160, correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 2080, 137, 141, 143, correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bill 72, correctly revised, House Bill 1331, 1332, and 1333, correctly re-revised, House Bill 1268.
Message from the House.
Where are we?
Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the revisor of statutes House Bill 1348, House Bill 1349, House Bill 1350, House Bill 1351, House Bill 1352, House Bill 1353, House Bill 1354, House Bill 1355, House Bill 1356, House Bill 1358, House Bill 1359, House Bill 1360, House Bill 1361, House Bill 1362, House Bill 1363, House Bill 1366, House Bill 1367, House Bill 1368, House Bill 1369, House Bill 1370, House Bill 1372, House Bill 1373, House Bill 1375, House Bill 1376, House Bill 1377, House Bill 1379, House Bill 1381, House Bill 1382, House Bill 1383, House Bill 1384, House Bill 1385, House Bill 1386, House Bill 1388, House Bill 1390, House Bill 1392, House Bill 1393, House Bill 1394, House Bill 1395, House Bill 1396, House Bill 1398, House Bill 1400, House Bill 1401, House Bill 1403, House Bill 1404, House Bill 1407, House Bill 1408, House Bill 1409, and House Bill 1413. House has passed on third reading and transmitted transmitted to the Revised Statutes, House Bill 1357, House Bill 1364, House Bill 1371, House Bill 1378, House Bill 1380, House Bill 1387, House Bill 1389, House Bill 1391, House Bill 1397, House Bill 1399, House Bill 1405, and House Bill 1412, amended as printed in House Journal April 9, 2026. House is passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revised Statutes, House Bill 1410, amended as printed in House Journal April 10, 2026. House is passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revised Statutes, House Bill 1406, amended on third reading and is printed in House Journal April 11, 2026. House is passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revised Statutes, House Bill 1374, House Bill 1402, and House Bill 1411, amended as printed in House Journal April 9, 2026, and amended on third reading as printed in House Journal April 11, 2026.
Message from the reviser.
We herewith transmit without comment House Bill 1348, 1349, 1350, 1351, 1352, 1353, 1354, 1355, 1356, 1358, 1359, 1360, 1361, 1362, 1363, 1366, 1367, 1368, 1369, 1370, 1372, 1373, 1375, 1376, 1377, 1379, 1381, 1382, 1383, 1384, 1385, 1386, 1388, 1390, 1392, 1393, 1394, 1395, 1396, 1398, 1400, 1401, 1403, 1404, 1407, 1408, 1409, and 1413, without comment as amended. House Bill 1357, 1364, 1371, 1374, 1378, 1380, 1387, 1389, 1391, 1397, 1399, 1402, 1405, 1410, 1411, and 1412, without comment as amended. House Bill 1406.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schaffler. Please add Senators Judah and Ball to the roll. Introduction of resolutions. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of SJR 22.
Senate Joint Resolution 22 by Senator Cutter and Representative Joseph concerning designating July 12th through 18th, 2026 as Plastic Pollution Awareness Week.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay that Senate Joint Resolution 22 lay over until Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026.
The motion is lay over SJR 22 to Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and SJR 22 will lay over until Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of SJR 23.
Senate Joint Resolution 23 by Senators Mullica and Coleman and Representatives Bacon and Hartsook concerning recognition of the contributions of Young Americans Bank and Young American Center for Financial Education to financial literacy education for students in Colorado.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate Joint Resolution 23 lay over until Tuesday, April the 14th, 2026.
The motion is lay over SJR 23 to Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
No.
What? The ayes have it. SJR 23 will lay over until Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of SR 006.
Senate Resolution 006 by Senator Kolker concerning the recognition of April 2026 as National Donate Life Month.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate Resolution 006 lay over until Tuesday, April 21st, 2026.
The motion is lay over SR 006, Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. SR 006 will lay over until Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate proceed out of order for moments of personal privilege.
The motion is to proceed out of order for moments of personal privilege. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We'll proceed out of order for moments of personal privilege. Senator Henriksen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you again, Mr. President. Colleagues, when you serve in the military, it is one of the few occupations where it is not just the service member who sacrifices for the country. The entire family serves as well. It is a different lifestyle. It involves uprooting your family with great frequency. It involves extraordinary long periods of time away from your loved ones. It involves significant hardship that the median American just isn't accustomed to. And it is a privilege today to be able to welcome the kids from Purple Up Day. They're to my right, your left, at the side of the chamber here. These are kids who have parents who are serving in our armed forces right now, who are here today. I want to thank you for being here. after the completion of the Constitutional Convention, it was Benjamin Franklin who was asked, so what have we? And he responded with, a republic, if you can keep it. And everything in our Constitution has sought to strengthen the Republican form of government. That thing that your father or your mother or both are so willing to sacrifice for, and that you, by extension, are sacrificing for, is to preserve this very form of government that you're witnessing today, and we're grateful for you to be here to witness that government in action. Thank you.
Welcome to the Senate. Senator Zamora Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I guess I would be speaking on behalf of my daughter, served 25 years in the Air Force, and I know what my daughter, the sacrifice that my daughter has gone through when I was deployed and having to leave her, especially on Mother's Day, the pain. Oh, my apologies. Mr. President, may I ask for a moment of personal privilege?
More than welcome.
Thank you, Mr. President. My apologies. So I know, looking into my daughter's eyes and saying goodbye, the pain and the sacrifice, and especially we moved every 3 years. And especially when I moved her, we got a new assignment during high school, critical stage for her. And so I appreciate all the children where their parents are in the military. They truly do sacrifice a lot, and I appreciate all the children and what you go through. So thank you.
Further moments. Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. Colleagues, I'm proud to stand up here with the good senator from Montrose to help us recognize Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. These are our 911 operators and professionals who respond at every moment of the day, and we are so grateful for them. The governor signed a proclamation. It's a short one. I'm going to read it, and we do have some of our 911 professionals here in the chamber with us on this side, and want to thank them for being here. So the proclamation states, whereas public safety telecommunicators serve as the vital link between the public and emergency response agencies, providing calm, professional, and compassionate assistance during some of life's most critical moments. And whereas these highly trained professionals answer emergency and non-emergency calls, coordinate police, fire, and emergency medical response, and deliver life-saving instructions while managing complex communication systems in fast-moving, high-pressure environments. And whereas public safety telecommunicators demonstrate exceptional skill, dedication, and resilience while supporting first responders and safeguarding the lives and well-being of the communities they serve. And whereas National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week is observed each year to recognize and honor their professionalism, commitment, and invaluable service to public safety. Therefore, I, Jared Polis, Governor of the State of Colorado, do hereby proclaim the period of time between April 12 and April 18, 2026 as Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the state of Colorado. So we're grateful for our governor for signing this, and very grateful for all the work you do in every community across the state, rural, urban, suburban, and everywhere in between to respond to folks in their most desperate times. Thank you so much for being here and all that you do.
Senator Catlin.
I asked for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to add my voice to the folks that are sitting there in the corner. You know, we forget about them, we don't think about them until, oh, we need them now. And they're there. They're there, they keep a calm head, they help us decide what needs to be done next, and they bring the help that we are needing. That's something that, you know, I don't know what we would be without you. I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart and my family's heart, we thank you. And we do want to offer this proclamation of how important you truly are. Don't forget that when you're sitting there at the middle of the night wondering, why am I here? Remember, we're very, very proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome to the Senate. Further moments, seeing none. Third reading of the bills, consent calendar. Mr. Schaffler, please read the titles of all the bills on the consent calendar.
Senate Bill 20 by Senators Bright and Ball and Representatives Sirota and Gonzalez, concerning measures related to child care provider licensing and in connection therewith, increasing reliance on trained personnel from the Department of Early Childhood, imposing certain requirements in connection with regulation by local governing authorities, and creating a task force. Senate Bill 137 by Senators Coleman and Simpson and Representatives McCluskey and Caldwell, concerning measures to reduce administrative burdens and in connection therewith, making changes to the mandatory review of department rules by each principal department and clarifying the Attorney General's scope of authority related to litigation discovery.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of all the bills on third reading of bills, final passage, consent calendar, which are Senate Bill 20 and Senate Bill 137.
Any discussion on any of the bills? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of all the bills on third reading of the bills consent calendar. Are there any no votes? Senator Zamora Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to be a no vote on Senate Bill 20.
Senator Zamora Wilson be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 20. Senator Carson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask to be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 26-020.
Senator Carson be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 20. Senator Basley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 20.
Senator Basley be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 20. Senator Lister.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too wish to be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 26-020.
Senator Lister be recorded as a no vote on Senate Bill 20. Further no votes? Seeing none, with a vote of 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 20 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Kipp, Marchman, co-sponsors on Senate Bill 20, Cutter, Judah, Amabile, Gonzalez, Wallace, Exum, Lindstedt, Benavidez. Please add the president. With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 137 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Roberts, Marchman, Doherty, Amabile, Frizzell, Doherty again, Mullica, Carson, Snyder, Kirkmeyer, Lindstedt, Catlin, Exum, Bridges, the president has already added. There we go, Gonzalez. Third reading of the bills. Final passage. Mr. Schaffler, Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over Senate Bill 90 until Tuesday, April the 14th.
The motion is to lay over Senate Bill 90 until Tuesday, April 14th. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 90 will be laid over to Tuesday, April the 14th. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 140.
Senate Bill 140 by Senators Frizzell and Marchman and Representatives Gilchrist and Johnson, concerning exempting certain drugs from the scope of affordability reviews conducted by the Colorado Prescription Drug Affordability Review Board.
Senator Marchman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 140 on third reading and final passage.
Further discussion. Seeing none, the motion is the passage of Senate Bill 140. Are there any no votes? Senators Kipp, Judah, Wallace, Gonzalez, Benavidez, Cutter, Mr. Majority Leader, Snyder, Weissman, Sullivan, Danielson, Coker, Bridges, Ball, Henriksen. Further no votes. With a vote of 20 ayes, 15 noes, 0 absent or excused, Senate Bill 140 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Kirkmeyer. Would you like to co-sponsor your bill, Senator Frizzell? Mr. Minority Leader, Pelton B. Bright. Baisley. Liston. Pelton R. Please add the President. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of House Bill 1332.
House Bill 1332 by Representatives McCluskey and Duran and Senators Rodriguez and Simpson concerning the Legislative Department Cash Fund.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1332 on third reading and final passage. Ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the passage of House Bill 1332. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1332 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please add Senator Liston, one brave soul.
Mailer.
I would love a mail piece. Please add the President.
There you go.
Here you go.
You're welcome. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of House Bill 1333.
House Bill 1333 by Representatives McCluskey and Duran and Senators Rodriguez and Simpson concerning the payment of the expenses of the Legislative Department.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of House Bill 1333 and ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of House Bill 1333. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1333 is passed. Co-sponsors. I understand. And that's correct.
Come on.
Oh, on 1333, Senator Kipp? Very good. Me too. Please add the President. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of Senate Bill 141.
Senate Bill 141 by Senators Robertson, Simpson, and Representatives McCluskey and Taggart concerning optional fees during motor vehicle registration that primarily support wildlife projects and in connection therewith using the proceeds of a newly created optional fee to construct wildlife crossings and other transportation improvements and making an appropriation.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Senate Bill 141 on third reading and ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the passage of SB 26-143. Are there any no votes? 141. You're right. Sorry, 143 is the next one. 141. Are there any no votes? Okay. Senators Pelton, Amabile, Kirkmeyer, Pelton R., Zamora Wilson, Baisley, Rich. Oh, okay. Senator Amabile will be recorded as a no vote.
No.
I mean, as a yes vote. Is that acceptable? Okay. Any other no votes? Senator Bright. Okay. With a vote of 28 aye, 7 no, 0 absent, and 0 excused, SB 141 is passed. Co-sponsors: Wallace, Senator Marchman, Senator Wiseman, Senator Judah, Senator Ball, Senator Snyder, Senator Benavides, Senator Danielson, Senator Lindstedt, Senator Amabile, Senator Cutter, Senator Exum, Senator Mullica, Senator Doherty, Senator Coleman, Senator Hinrichsen. Please add the President.
Oh, one more.
Oh, and Senator Kolker. Any others? Going once, going twice. Okay, Mr. Schaffler, can you please read the title of SB 26-143?
Senate Bill 143 by Senator Coleman and Wallace and Representative Wilford and Garcia concerning updating the name of the Colorado Youth Advisory Council Review Committee.
Senator Wallace.
Thank you, Madam President. I move Senate Bill 143 on third reading and final passage.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Are there any no votes?
What's going on here?
Senator Zamora Wilson, Senator Frizzell, Minority Leader Simpson, Senator Pelton B, Senator Kirkmeyer, Senator Bright, Senator Carson, Senator Catlin, Senator Baisley, Senator Rich, Senator Pelton R, and Senator Liston. With a vote of 23 aye, 12 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, SB 26-143 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senator Wiseman, Senator Hinrichsen, Senator Gonzalez, Senator Marchman, Senator Sullivan, Senator Danielson, Senator Kolker, Senator Judah, Senator Snyder, Senator Cutter, Senator Lindstedt,
Let it go through and let me go back to the.
Senator Bridges,
Let me make sure I knew what the hell I was doing.
Senator Amabile, Senator Exum,
Reducing per diems for legislators that.
Senator Mollica, Senator Doherty, Senator Roberts. Please add the president. Mr. Schaffler, can you please read the title of HB 26-1331?
House Bill 1331 by Representatives McCluskey and Caldwell and Senators Coleman and Simpson concerning modifications to legislative interim activities and in connection therewith reducing an appropriation.
Minority Leader Simpson, you have certainly grown in my eyes today.
Thank you, Madam President. I move House Bill 1331 and request permission for a third reading amendment.
The motion is for a third reading amendment. Please explain yourself.
There we go.
Thank you. Should have made the little guy do it. Thank you, Madam President. This was an amendment that identified reduction in some per diems that help the fiscal challenges. I should have run this amendment in appropriations instead of on the floor, so this is to fix the appropriations.
Thank you. The question before us is a request from Minority Leader Simpson for a third reading amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and permission is granted. There is an amendment at the desk. Mr. Schaffler, can you please read J002 to HB 1331?
Amendment J002, amend revised bill page 11, line 7, strike 126,971 and substitute 183,699.
Minority Leader Simpson.
Thank you, Madam President. I move J002.
That is a proper motion. And would you like to tell us any further about your amendment?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. So this, again, changes the appropriation. It was a reduction of $126,971. With the amendment we ran on second reading, the appropriation should increase the reduction to a reduction of $183,699.
Great. Any further discussion on J002? Seeing none, question before us is the adoption of J002 to HB 1331. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a recorded vote. My bad. So, are there any no votes to J002? Seeing no votes, the ayes with a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, J002 is adopted. Senator Minority Leader Simpson.
Thank you, Madam President. I move again House Bill 1331 as amended on third reading and ask for an aye vote.
You have heard the motion. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, seeing no further discussion, are there any no votes? Senator Amabile. Senator Henriksen. Okay, with a vote of 33 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, 1331 is passed. And looks like we have our, oh, sorry, co-sponsors. Senator Rodriguez. And Senator Kirkmeyer for the co-sponsors. Okay, seeing none, Mr. Schaffler, can you please read the title of SB 26080?
Senate Bill 080 by Senator Coleman and Simpson and Representative Lukens concerning creating the Cradle to Career Grant Program.
Senator Coleman.
Thank you, Madam President. Move Senate Bill 80 on third reading and final passage. Ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 80? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 80. Are there any no votes? Senator Zamora Wilson. Senator Carson. What? Senator Pelton R. What? Senator Baisley. With a vote of 31 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 80 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Oh, Senator Amabile, Senator Wallace, Senator Judah, Senator Lindstedt, Senator Gonzalez, Senator Cutter, Senator Exum, Senator Danielson, Senator Marchman, and please add the president.
General orders. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. There has been a request to remove House Bill 1305 from the consent calendar and be placed at the bottom of the general order second reading of bills.
House Bill 1305 will be removed from the consent calendar and placed at the bottom of general order second reading of bills. Now, general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration of general order, second reading of bills consent.
You heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The motion is adopted. The Senate resolves itself Committee of the Whole for consideration of general order, second reading of bills consent calendar. Senator Gonzalez will take the chair.
Committee will come to order, and the court rule is relaxed for everyone in the chamber. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the titles to all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar?
House Bill 1228 by Representative Stewart R. and for A. and Senator Danielson concerning measures to increase access to licensure as a marriage and family therapist. House Bill 1116 by Representative Wrighton and Gonzalez and Senator Ball concerning processes related to individuals with behavioral health disorders. House Bill 1213 by Representative Smith and McCormick and Senator Wallace concerning the continuation of the Biomass Utilization Grant Program and in connection therewith implementing the recommendation contained in the 2025 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies to repeal the Biomass Utilization Grant Program.
Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the passage of all the bills on general order second reading of bills consent calendar, which is House Bill 1228, House Bill 1116, and House Bill 1213, and there are no committee reports.
Sweet. Any discussion on any of the bills? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and those bills are adopted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
Motion is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and we will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee met and considered several bills. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the report?
April 13th, 2026, Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report as had under consideration the following attached bills being the second reading thereof and makes following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1228, House Bill 1116, House Bill 1213 passed in second reading in order to revise and place on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you. I move the report.
The motion is adoption committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, committee of the whole report is adopted. House Bill 1228, 1116, 1213 passed second reading, order revised, place on counter for third reading and final passage. General orders. Second reading of the bill. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the committee of the whole for the general order second reading of bills.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Senate will resolve itself committee of the whole for consideration of general order second reading of bills. And Senator Gonzalez will take the chair.
All right, y'all. Committee will come to order and the court roll is relaxed. Mr. Schaffler, Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1071 until Friday, April the 17th.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and 1071 will lay over until Friday the 17th of April. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that Senate Bill 134 lay over until Friday, April the 17th.
You've heard that motion as well. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and 134 will lay over until Friday, April the 17th. My apologies. I said House Bill 1017 instead of House Bill 1071. So please let the record reflect that House Bill 261071 will in fact lay over to Friday 4/17. Thank you. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that House Bill 1084 lay over until Thursday, April the 16th.
You've heard that motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and House Bill 1084 will lay over till Thursday, April the 16th. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the title to House Bill 1126?
House Bill 1126 by Representatives Sirota and Woodrow and Senator Kipp concerning requirements for dealing firearms.
Senator Kipp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move HB 1126 on second reading.
Is there any discussion? Senator Kipp.
This bill grows directly out of the work of the Firearms Dealer Division, the division the legislature created through HB 24-1353, which has now been in the field doing the job we asked it to do. And what the division found is that the existing statute has gaps, and HB 26-1126 is here to close them. I want to give you a concrete example of why this matters. During field inspections, the division documented a string of 4 after-hours burglaries at 4 separate firearms dealers. 3 of those 4 dealers had secured their firearms off the sales floor. They had 0 stolen firearms. The 4th dealer had not secured their inventory. 19 firearms were stolen from that one location. 19 firearms are now out in the world with no accountability for where they go or what they're used for. This bill responds directly to what the division has observed as originally drafted. The bill included several physical security requirements. Upon thoughtful stakeholder work, the bill was amended to include mandatory department rulemaking and for dealers to submit comprehensive security plans because we know a one-size-fits-all approach may not work. The bill also requires any stolen or lost firearms to be reported to the state within 48 hours. Beyond physical security, the bill addresses several additional practical gaps. The current record-keeping requirement only covers pistols and revolvers, not long guns. This bill extends it to all firearms transactions. The bill clarifies that the definition of employee includes independent contractors and volunteers, ensuring that everyone working in a dealer's operations and has direct access to the firearms is subject to the same background check and oversight requirements, not just those on a formal payroll. Some dealers have been arguing that certain transfers are not technically sales and therefore don't require a state permit. This bill also closes that loophole. The bill also ensures that individuals with firearms-related criminal convictions can't simply incorporate a business and obtain a dealer permit that way. It shifts accountability to the responsible persons running the operation, not just the entity. And finally, the bill gives the Department of Revenue an important new enforcement tool, the authority to fine dealers up to $75,000 for repeat violations. Right now, the division's only options are to issue a warning or revoke a permit entirely. This creates a necessary middle ground that allows for proportionate education-forward enforcement without going straight to the most severe consequence. None of this is radical. It is the kind of targeted, practical, regulatory update that happens when you actually stand up a division, send people into the field, and listen to what they find. We created this framework to work, and this bill will help it work better. I'm happy to ask for a yes vote on this bill.
Thank you. As we get into second reading, I want to offer a reminder that I would invite people who wish to speak to a bill, make eye contact with me, get in line. I'll be taking a cue. With that, Senator Peltonar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Heard this bill in committee, another bill that's hurting small businesses in my district. I've had at least one gun store, and I'm sure more than that, have already left the state, moved across the border into Kansas to a state that is friendly, that wants business, no matter what it is. Here's another bill that is just chasing more business out of the state. And with that, Madam Chair,
There's an amendment at the desk. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read L 58 to 1126?
Amendment L 58, amending gross bill page 3.
Senator Peltonar.
thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L 058.
To the amendment.
What this amendment does is that it requires there be, shoot, I just lost that. Oh, a small business impact analysis whenever there are new measures being implemented, and this would estimate the cost of compliance. I think this is a great amendment that it's going to show just what it is costing these small businesses to stay open, and I know what it's going to show. They can't afford it, and that, I think, is the crux of this whole, this bill and many others, is to shut down these type of businesses. So I'd ask for support to 058.
Further discussion, Senator Bright.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of Amendment L58. I think this addresses an important concern. And let's talk about what it does, what it doesn't do. It does not weaken the security requirements in this bill, does not give bad actors an escape hatch. What it does is ask a simple question that this body should always ask before imposing significant capital costs on small businesses. How much will this actually cost, and can these businesses absorb it? The security mandate in this bill delegates the substance of those requirements entirely to the Department of Revenue for rulemaking, with compliance required by October of 2027. We're voting today on a bill whose real financial impact on small dealers we cannot quantify because the rules haven't been written yet. A small business impact analysis ensures that when those rules are written, the department knows what it is asking of a family-owned gun shop in rural Colorado, a business that may have 3 employees, thin margins, no capital reserves for major infrastructure overhaul, phased compliance periods, and targeted grants for dealers who cannot meet the threshold without assistance are not special treatments. They're the same tools this body uses routinely in environmental regulation, healthcare compliance, and building code updates. If we believe these security requirements are good policy, we should want them to succeed. Imposing them without an honest accounting of cost, without a pathway for compliance, is how good policy fails in this practice. So I would urge a yes vote on Amendment L58.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body, well, sorry, Senator Kipp.
I would ask for a no vote. This bill is closing gaps. It is making things more secure. People will not have their firearms stolen if they're properly secured. Therefore, this will save people money. So we ask for a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, a division has been requested. We'll stand in a senatorial 5. The motion before the body is the adoption of L58. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, I'm going to invite you to sit down. All those in favor of L58 to 1126, please stand. Opposed? Thanks, please be seated. Opposed? Stand with us. Chair's not in doubt. L58 fails. To the bill. Seeing no further discussion, thank you. Senator Bright.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick out of the vote, quick to the bill. I think we can make this bill better. There are a couple things that are just begging for a little bit of attention here. And I feel like there's a little bit of a stakeholdering process we ought to take a look at. And with that, I have an amendment.
There's an amendment at the desk. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read L59 to 1126?
Amendment L59.
Senator Bright.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise to offer a narrow but important amendment in L59. This amendment strengthens
the rule. Move your amendment.
Can I move Amendment L59 to Senate Bill 1126.
Thank you. To the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise to offer this narrow but important amendment in L59. This amendment strengthens the rulemaking process that will determine how those goals are implemented. The security mandates in this bill will fall most heavily on small, independent firearm dealers, many of whom operate in rural communities across the state. Before the Department of Revenue sets rules that will govern their businesses, those dealers deserve a seat at the table to talk about how it's implemented. This amendment simply requires the department to hold one public stakeholder meeting with adequate notice before finalizing security rules and to make a summary of that input publicly available. That's reasonable, good government standard that any agency doing its job well should welcome. I would urge a yes vote on L59.
Further discussion, Senator Pelton B.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of L59. This amendment ensures transparency and stakeholder input in the bill's rulemaking process. The bill grants the department broad authority to establish new security requirements that could significantly impact how firearm dealers operate. Without input from the affected businesses, these rules may be impractical or overly burdensome. That's something we don't want to do, is completely burdensome these businesses. By requiring a stakeholder meeting, this amendment ensures that dealers and the public have a voice in shaping the regulations that directly affect them. So we want to make sure that we're not running these businesses out of the state of Colorado. Like the good senator from Cheyenne says, he has had one move to Kansas. I've had one move to Kansas, just right across the border of over there, or I'm sorry, Nebraska, right from Ray and that sort of thing. They just move right across the border there. And then we just want to make sure that our businesses are still in good standing and still doing things that they're supposed to be doing. So we're just asking for a little bit of transparency in this aspect of it and having businesses cooperate and be part of this process. So I ask for an aye vote on L59.
Senator Kipp.
Thank you. The Department of Revenue would like you to know that rulemaking is already open to the public and that they encourage folks to participate. So we ask for a no vote because we're already doing this.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L59, and a division has been requested. Motion is the adoption of L59 to 1126, and a division has been requested. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. The motion is the adoption of L59. All those in favor, please stand. Please be seated. All those in opposition, please stand. Chairs nodded. That motion fails. L59 is lost. Senator Zamora Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, colleagues, this bill is constructing a state-level firearms surveillance system administered by the Department of Revenue. And this goes far beyond any legitimate regulatory purpose. It constructs by bureaucratic stealth the very thing that both federal law and Colorado law explicitly prohibit. And it imposes unconstitutional burdens on the exercise of a fundamental right that the Supreme Court has affirmed not once, but twice in the modern era. And it will cause real, concrete financial harm to small businesses, the owners across the state who have done nothing wrong. Looking at the constitutional foundation, in 2008, the Supreme Court decided District of Columbia versus Heller. Justice Scalia, writing for the majority, held that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to possess a firearm unconnected with service in a militia, and to use that firearm for traditionally lawful purposes, self-defense. That holding settled once and for all that the Second Amendment is an individual right belonging to you and me and every law-abiding citizen in this country. In 2010, McDonald versus City of Chicago extended that holding to the states. The Second Amendment applies to Colorado just as fully as it applies to the federal government. This is not debatable. It is settled constitutional law. And then in 2022, the Supreme Court decided New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, and it transformed the constitutional landscape in a fundamental way. The court held that when a government regulation burdens conduct protected by the Second Amendment, that regulation must be consistent with the historical tradition of firearm regulation in America. This is not a balancing test. It is not an interest-weighing exercise. The government does not get to say, we have a really important reason, so the burden on the right is acceptable. This is where historical tradition of American firearms regulations, where do we find a state taxing authority conducting routine warrantless inspections of a comprehensive electronic database covering every gun sale in the state? There is none. There's no such tradition, and this bill cannot survive the Bruin scrutiny. And let me turn to the most constitutionally alarming provision in this bill, the electronic record-keeping mandate. Under current Colorado law, firearm dealers are required to maintain records of sales, rentals, and exchanges of pistols and revolvers. That is a targeted, focused requirement. Handguns, the category most associated with urban crime, and it applies to retail transactions. This bill expands this requirement to cover every retail firearm transaction involving any firearm other than a destructive device. Rifles, shotguns, handguns, every transfer recorded, and not just recorded, the bill explicitly authorizes electronic storage of these records. It then requires that these electronic records be made available at all times for inspection by peace officers and by state inspectors enforcing the dealer permit program. At all times. That's the bill's language. Not pursuant to a warrant, not pursuant to a specific criminal investigation, not pursuant to any individualized suspicion whatsoever. At all times. On demand. By any peace officer or state inspector who shows up at the dealer's door. Both federal law and Colorado law prohibit the creation of a firearms registry. The Firearm Owners Protection Act of 1986 explicitly forbids the federal government from establishing any system for the registration of firearms, firearm owners, or firearm transactions. Colorado statute echoes this prohibition. It's strange that the word registry appears nowhere in this bill, and I believe that's for a reason. A registry is not defined by what you call it, it's defined by what it does. The functional test is simple. If the government has routine, warrantless access to comprehensive records of who purchased what firearm, when, from whom, the identifying characteristics of that firearm, that is a registry, regardless of the label. And this bill creates exactly that system. Every firearm sold in Colorado, recorded. Every record kept electronically. Every record accessible to state agents on demand. No limit in the bill on how long records must be retained, no limit on how they may be aggregated across multiple dealers, no limit on how the data may be analyzed or shared. And compare this to the existing federal Form 4473 process. A 4473 is a dealer-held document. The ATF may examine it only during narrowly prescribed compliance inspections or in the course of a specific criminal investigation with proper legal basis. Federal law explicitly forbids the ATF from creating a searchable database of 4473. Congress made that choice deliberately, and this bill would do at the state level what Congress has expressly forbidden the federal government to do.
Senator Zamora Wilson?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Just to clarify, are you speaking to 1126 or to 1265?
1126.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay. So in regards to electronic records, electronic records are not simply a more convenient version of paper records. They are qualitatively different. They are searchable, sortable, exportable, and can be cross-referenced across time and across dealers with a single database. And with a single database query. And consider what a state agent with access to this database could determine. Every firearm purchased by a specific individual in the past 5 years. Every person who purchased a specific type of firearm in a specific county in the past 6 months. Every dealer who sold more than a certain number of firearms in a given period. And every buyer who appears in multiple transaction records across multiple dealers. None of these people have done anything wrong. None of them are under investigation. They simply exercised a constitutional right. And this is permanently recorded in a government-accessible database. I urge a no vote on HB 261126. Thank you.
Any further discussions? Seeing none, the motion. Senator Frizzell.
My apologies.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry I was wavering between my desk and the floor. I also stand in opposition of House Bill 1126. And I have a lot of thoughts about this. I've had some exposure to the Department of Revenue's enforcement capabilities just in their work with the Marijuana Enforcement Division, MED, and how they do that. And this is kind of set up, I think, similar, maybe not as mature as that enforcement division has become. But I think it's really interesting that the Marijuana Enforcement Division has a tiered system of penalties and violations and how they treat things. This $75,000 fine that is considered in this particular legislation is quite a bit more than many of the penalties imposed by the Marijuana Enforcement Division for a variety of violations. Probably the one exception to that would be if there was deliberate and willful actions that, such as selling to a minor, selling marijuana to a minor. But even then, my work with the Legislative Audit Committee, the Marijuana Enforcement Division is not always adhering to that particular, to the highest penalty. And that's something that I think I'm concerned about, because I think that this is probably a broad brush approach to penalties and violations that are set forth in this bill. So that worries me quite a bit. There's a lot about this bill that worries me quite a bit. And with that, I would like to propose an amendment.
There's an amendment at the desk. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read Amendment L61 to 1126?
Amendment L61, amending gross bill.
Senator Frizzell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L061 to House Bill 1126.
Proper motion to the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this bill is just significantly expanding regulatory requirements, and it introduces steep penalties, large fines, and permit revocation. And there is no opportunity for businesses, and these are small businesses who they are in the business, and you know, here's the thing about business owners, whether they are selling firearms or making widgets or cutting hair or whatever their business is, that's what they know. They know that business. And I don't know if you all have seen the Apartment Association's legal guide that they publish every year, but it's about, 1.5 to 2 inches thick, filled with all the regulations we've imposed on apartment operators and owners. I mean, they literally need a guidebook to navigate all the regulation we have created. And I think that we're kind of headed there with firearms dealers, because just since 2020, in this building, we've passed 34 gun-related bills. 34. And it's really hard. If you're a business owner, you know your business. Navigating all the rules and regulations, big and small, that we have created as a state entity, all the rules and regulations that we have stuck into law, they may not know every single nuanced piece. And you know what? They need to, right? That's part of doing business. But again, these are small business owners. They're worrying about if they can sign their paychecks for their employees. They're worried about increased insurance costs. They're worried about paying property taxes. They're worried about, I don't know, fill in the blank. It's hard to be a business owner in the state of Colorado, and we're not making it any easier year by year by year. So I think that it's really important that we just give these small business owners the opportunity to correct minor or unintentional violations, because these business owners could really face severe consequences just for simple compliance errors, unintentional. By requiring a cure period, this amendment distinguishes between bad actors and good faith businesses. It makes sure that the enforcement is focused on serious violations rather than just punishing technical mistakes. This amendment ensures fairness and due process. And I ask for your aye vote.
Further discussion on L61. Senator Pelton B.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of L61. This amendment would require the Department of Revenue to provide firearm dealers with a notice of 30 days and give them an opportunity to correct violations before imposing fines or revoking permits, except in the case involving fraud or immediate threats to public safety. This is a good amendment. The state of Colorado passed, which I don't totally agree with, but it did pass 6% tax on ammo. And where do you get the ammunition from? Firearms dealers, these folks. That's right where you get it from. And we don't want to hurt these people who are selling firearms to get that extra tax money. This amendment ensures fairness and due process for firearms dealers. The bill significantly expands regulatory requirements and introduces steep penalties, including large fines and permit revocations, without an opportunity to correct minor or unintentional violations. Dealers could face severe consequences for simple compliance errors. I stopped by my local firearms dealer just last weekend, and he was talking about this very bill, about what if there was an unintended consequence to somebody accidentally putting something down where he wasn't supposed to. He would get fined. He was very concerned about that. He was so concerned, he was pretty much giving me the riot act while I was standing in there, and I told him that I completely understand where he was coming from, because he put his life savings into this business. By requiring a cure period, this amendment distinguishes between bad actors and good faith businesses, ensuring that enforcement is focused on serious violations rather than punishing technical mistakes. And I think that we should give them an opportunity to correct those mistakes, at least 30 days. That's reasonable. I mean, I think that you can do that on your taxes. You can correct mistakes on your taxes. Why shouldn't you be able to do it here? So I ask for an aye vote on L61.
Further discussion, Senator Bright, followed by Senator Kipp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of Amendment L61. I mean, we're talking about 30 days here to separate the good guys from the not so good guys. And I think it's appropriate to give them that amount of time to make sure that there aren't administrative mistakes here. I want to speak directly to those of us who care about due process. This bill gives the Department of Revenue the authority to fine dealers up to $75,000 and revoke their state permit. It requires rulemaking on categories of violations, mitigating factors, but it contains no requirement that a dealer be given a notice of violation and an opportunity to correct it before that enforcement hammer falls. Notice and cure provisions are not a novel idea. They're standard practice in professional licensing, environmental compliance, food safety regulation, and healthcare, precisely because we recognize that most violations by otherwise law-abiding businesses are the result of a misunderstanding, miscommunication, or administrative error, rather than a willful disregard for the law. A 30-day opportunity to correct, with carve-outs for fraud and immediate public safety threats, costs this bill nothing in terms of its enforcement capacity against bad actors. Because bad actors are exactly who the carve-outs are designed to address. What it does is protect the compliant good faith dealer who made a paperwork mistake from losing their livelihood before they even knew they had a problem. That's not a weakening of a bill. That's how fair regulatory systems work. And I would urge a yes vote on L61.
Senator Kipp.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for offering this amendment. And first, I would like to say I am asking for a no vote, but the reason I'm asking for a no vote is because it already says in the bill that somebody gets a warning first, right? This legislation is modeled after other divisions, for example, the Liquor Enforcement Division. This section of the bill actually provides a lot of flexibility for dealers. Rather than moving straight to revocation, they talk to dealers, they do education. Nobody wants to charge fines, okay? And then if these are only for repeated violations that are happening over and over again, and at that point, yeah, they do start to offer fines, but without any fines whatsoever, we would not be able to do any enforcement because people, frankly, are exploiting loopholes, which is why we are running this bill. So at any rate, I would ask for a no vote.
Further discussion on L61? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L61, and a division has been requested. All right, y'all. A division has been requested. All those in the chamber not entitled to vote, please be seated. The motion is the adoption of L61. All those in favor, please stand. All those, okay, please be seated. Those opposed, please stand. That motion fails. To the bill, Senator Pelton B.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On that same theme, I'm going to run some amendments when we just talked about. So I have an amendment.
There's an amendment at the desk. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read L62 to 1126?
Amendment
Senator
L62.
Pelton B.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move L062 to 1126.
To the motion, to the bill, proper motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment would treat multiple clerical or administrative errors stemming from the same misunderstanding as a single violation, provided the issue is corrected within 30 days. This amendment prevents regulators from stacking penalties for the same underlying mistake. This bill's enforcement framework could allow multiple violations to be issued for what is effectively a single compliance misunderstanding, exposing dealers to compounding penalties for minor errors. This is a really good amendment to make sure that we're not over-punishing businesses for mistakes that could be small mistakes, and I just ask for an aye vote on L62.
Further discussion, Senator Bright, my apologies.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of Amendment L62. I know this body's surprised. This amendment addresses something that any member who's worked in compliance, small business, or the regulatory administration of any kind will recognize immediately. When a business misunderstands a requirement, a record-keeping format, a reporting deadline, a documentation standard, that misunderstanding typically produces not one error, but many errors, until it's caught, because the same mistake is repeated consistently until someone catches it as a matter of practice. Under this bill as written, each of those repeated errors is a separate violation. A dealer who misunderstood the new record-keeping requirements for firearm transactions and applied the wrong format to 50 transactions over 3 months has technically committed 50 violations, each of which counts towards escalating fine exposure and permit revocation risk. Amendment 62 says that when multiple clerical or administrative errors stem from the same root misunderstanding and the dealer corrects the issue within 30 days of notice, those errors are treated as a single violation, which in fact they are. This is not a loophole. It's a recognition that the purpose of a fine is to change behavior, which is what we're after here. And that a dealer who corrects a systemic error within 30 days has already achieved the outcome that the enforcement system exists to produce. The punitive exposure for treating 50 identical errors as 50 separate violations does not make our gun shops safer. It makes our regulatory system arbitrary. And I would urge a yes vote on L62.
Further discussion, Senator Pelton B.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just looked at this amendment as something like I do right now. So if I go and wire your house and I get inspected, the inspector gives me a certain amount of time to be able to correct some of the issues that he comes and finds. So because he could just fail me right there, he doesn't fail me, he gives me a chance to correct some of the things that he may find in the house if it's not wired to his standard, because we have to do it by the National Electrical Code. However, he is the authority having jurisdiction, so he gets to choose that. So the problem is that we want to make sure that we're not over-regulating or over-fining folks to drive them out of the state. We want to make sure that we give them ample time for them to correct this and not have it stacked on stacked on stacked on stacked. So to have an individual case and not a multiple would be a big help. So again, I rise in support of the amendment.
Senator Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in support of Amendment 62. Members, I'm not sure if you've had the chance or you made the chance to take a deep dive into House Bill 1126, but there is a lot of paperwork and requirements under this bill, and I'm quoting from the bill from the re-engrossed bill. It says the record. We're talking about all of the things that need to be done and have to be done, whether you're penalized or not. And it says here that the record must be made at the time of the transaction in a book or electronic record. The required record has got to be the name of the person who received the firearm, the employee, what they have to do, has to be the make, the caliber, and the finish of the firearm. Well, if you've looked at the finish of a firearm, it could be very detailed. It could have engraving on it. A lot of times, the number and the serial number has to be included. The date of the sale, the transaction, the name of the employee who's doing it. You could have employees there that have been there for maybe as little as 30 or 30 days or 6 months, or you can have some long-standing employees that have been there for years, 5, 10, 20 years or more. There's a lot of paperwork that has to be recorded, and so it's a real, I won't say burden, but it is, we all talk about the paperwork blizzard. And certainly an honest mistake, you can transpose a serial number on a firearm can be quite a few digits. It can be 8 or 10 or 15 digits or more. So, a mistake can be made, and we certainly don't want an honest, law-abiding firearms dealer, of which 99.9% of them are, to have the heavy hand come down and then they're fined. So I rise in support of Amendment 62.
Senator Kipp.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing this amendment. And I will just repeat again, A, I asked for a no vote, and B, we are already doing this in the bill, not the 30-day thing specifically, but we educate people. There is a warning process. You are not allowed to revoke a license or levy any fines until there have been repeated violations of the same thing. Nobody wants to levy these fines. Nobody wants people going out of business. I totally respect our small businesses. However, we already give warnings. That is in the law. So I don't know what else to tell you. Please vote no on this amendment.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of L62. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. Noes have it. L62 is lost. To the bill, Senator Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, members, we're having a lively discussion on House Bill 1126. As we were just talking about, or at least I was, all of the paperwork that's required. Now, I'll take you through it again, which is just a parcel list, that the record on the transaction has got to be made either in book form or electronic form. It's got to be the name of the person that received the firearm, the recipient's age, and their address. It's got to be the make, the caliber, and the finish of the firearm, which, there again, that takes a lot of time to go through it. The date of the sale and the other, the amount of the transaction, the sales tax. Like I say, the name of the employee, it's going to take the name of the employee or other person that conducted the transaction. And the dealer, firearms dealer, that they have to make these records in this section that I just described available at all times by a duly authorized peace officer. So they've got to keep all of these detailed records at hand, because you never really know when a peace officer or the people that are doing the inspections. And these inspections, I don't believe it says anywhere in the bill. The good senator from Fort Collins was saying that, they want everybody to comply and they're not going to come down on them and so forth, which, I kind of believe. But what we don't know is maybe that there is a dealer that's been, I don't want to say the word targeted, because that's not quite the word, but they've been identified that, look, we inspected them once 30 days ago or 2 weeks ago, and so we're going to check on them again a month later, or we're going to check on them again quarterly. How many times that they're going to come back? So with that, Madam Chair, I do have an amendment.
There's an amendment at the desk. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read L66 to 1126?
Amendment L66, amend Ringross Bill, page 3,
Senator
line 24.
Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I move Amendment L66 to House Bill 1126.
Proper motion to the amendment.
Yes, members, what this amendment does is the inspection will occur once a calendar year, instead of that they can come back and do it monthly or quarterly or semi-annually or whatever, and that there has to be a credible evidence of a violation of the state or federal law. So they can't just come back and say, look, you might have made a mistake or whatever, because every time that the regulator or the inspectors come in, it's going to slow down the business. Because as I've talked about here, they've got to show their records, and the owner of the store, the owners, they've got to sit down with them. So really, this is really for simplicity's sake, that rather than having to go through this, like I say, I'll even grant it may not be monthly, but it doesn't say that it couldn't be monthly. Or quarterly or semi-annually, so it limits it to once a year, which really, you think about other businesses, the good senator from Fort Collins mentioned the Liquor Enforcement Division. I don't know for sure, but I don't think that they inspect that the liquor stores, but once a year, or other businesses, auto dealers, you name it, you know, they go through an inspection once, not quarterly, not monthly or semi-annually. So once a year should be more than sufficient. I think that the owners and the proprietors of a firearms store, you know, that they're safe anyways, that they want to be able to sell their firearms safely because that's what they do. Safety is paramount. They're not going to sell it to somebody, you know, Tom, Dick, and Harry. They're going to keep good records. But in the event that there's might be a slight problem, let's not overburden the proprietors, especially small businesses, with unneeded inspections. With that, members, I move and ask for an aye vote on Amendment L066.
Further discussion? Senator Bright. No, Senator Kipp. Senator Bright.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I love this common sense discussion that we're having here. This helps us get to the best legislation that we could be governed by, and again, just appeal to everyone's evaluation of common sense. And I rise in support of Amendment L66 because I believe that's exactly what this does. I want to frame this in terms of what I think resonates across this chamber. Regulatory inspections serve a legitimate and important purpose, but frequency without cause is not oversight, it's harassment. This bill significantly expands the regulatory footprints over firearms dealers, including compliance inspections, without setting any limit on how often those inspections may occur. For a small dealer with 2 or 3 employees, an unannounced inspection is not a minor inconvenience. It can require pulling staff from the floor, disrupting customer service, producing documentation on short notice. Multiply that by lots and lots of inspections every year with no evidentiary threshold requiring to trigger them. And you have a regulatory environment that imposes a continuous compliance burden on businesses that are just trying in good faith to meet the new complex requirements. Amendment L66 does not prevent inspections. It ensures they are purposeful. One routine inspection per year is consistent with how we regulate pharmacies, food service establishments, licensed healthcare providers. L66 is a reasonable standard once a year that respects both the state's oversight interest and the dealer's right to operate a business without constant disruption. And with that, I would urge a yes vote on L66.
Senator Kipp.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for bringing this amendment. You know, nobody wants to provide or to create an unreasonable regulatory burden on any of our small businesses. So let me tell you what the DOR does. The original legislation required, and this is what they do, a minimum of 10% of the inspections a year. So, right, nobody has the resources to be going and harassing people every week without some kind of cause. But a major part of a successful regulatory framework is the inspections. Limiting to once a year would inhibit the ability of the department to ensure a safe and responsible industry. We simply can't just let people decide when they want to violate the law. We need to make sure that they are always accountable to following the law, because again, the reason we're bringing this bill, one of the primary reasons we're bringing this bill, is that there are currently loopholes that are being exploited. We would like to make sure those loopholes are closed. So we ask for a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of L66 to 1126. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The noes have it. L66 is lost. To the bill, Senator Zamora Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, speaking of the Department of Revenue, I want to talk about the role of the Department of Revenue and its enforcement in all this. So in 2024, the legislature created a state-level firearms dealer licensing program and placed it in the Department of Revenue, not the Department of Public Safety, not the Colorado Bureau of Investigation. It placed it in the state's taxing authority. And in 2025, the legislature extended law enforcement authority to the Department of Revenue and its agents enforcing that program, giving a revenue agency police powers over firearm dealers. This is concerning. And today, this bill asks us to dramatically expand the DOR's authority again. More records, more inspections, more mandates, more fines, all administered by an agency whose core institutional mission is the collection of revenue and whose culture and expertise have nothing to do with the protection of constitutional rights. This matters. When you place the enforcement of a constitutional right in the hands of an agency whose institutional DNA is oriented towards compliance, collection, and enforcement of financial obligations, you create systematic pressure towards restriction. A revenue agency optimizes for compliance. A rights protective agency would optimize for access. And these are not the same thing. And critically, the fine schedule under this bill is not set by this legislature. The bill delegates that authority to the DOR itself. The agency decides the categories of violations. The agency decides the fine ranges. The agency decides what counts as an aggravating factor and what counts as a mitigating one. The legislature has handed a revenue agency extraordinary discretionary power over a constitutional right. This should concern everyone in this chamber and Coloradans, regardless of where they stand on gun rights. I mean, this bill presents the dealer regulation. It is, in fact, a multi-pronged assault on the constitutional rights of Colorado's law-abiding gun owners and the small business owners who serve them. It builds, without using the word, a functional firearm registry accessible to state agents without warrant or cause. It imposes compliance costs that will drive small dealers out of business and reduce access to lawful firearm purchases in rural communities. It expands the definition of regulated persons to a degree that makes flexible dealer operations impossible, and it concentrates extraordinary enforcement authority in a revenue agency with no adequate legislative oversight. You know, we heard how there's regulations on other markets such as liquor and marijuana. And we're trying, the argument was trying to make an apples to apples comparison. There is no apples to apples comparison because we're talking about a constitutional right, the Second Amendment. And this is really concerning. The Second Amendment needs to be protected, and the citizens of Colorado who exercise their Second Amendment deserve protections. They need to be protected. Our rights need to be protected. I urge a no vote on HB 261126. Thank you.
Further discussion? Senator Carson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a few comments against House Bill 261126. You know, this is another example, I think, of an ongoing process we have here at the legislature, continually passing these bills with more rules and regulations, and very, very little regard for the impact that they have on businesses in this state, and really on the citizens in this state, because if we don't have these businesses being prosperous and growing, we don't have the jobs, we don't have the tax revenue, we don't have really a vibrant economy here in Colorado, and I think we're seeing that more and more. I mean, if you look at, we seem to go industry by industry. You know, a few years ago, we really started with the energy industry, the oil and gas industry particular, putting more and more restrictions and mandates and rules and regulations on that particular industry. And we've seen the impact of that, of course, less production of energy in our state, less employment, and less tax revenue. It's very interesting. You look at the decline in the severance tax dollars and so forth, revenue coming into the state. Probably not what we want to have happening at a time when our budget situation is dire and we're having to close a very significant budget gap. You look at tech companies, some of them are starting to leave. Palantir recently announcing their departure. I think there's a growing sense that Colorado may not be a state that's particularly friendly to the technology industry. You know, landlord-tenant issues is another interesting one, I think. We keep passing all of these rules and regulations on landlords and property owners, making it more and more difficult to have rental properties, and yet at the same time, we complain about the lack of availability and affordability of housing for folks here in Colorado. I would say small business just in general. I mean, you look across the board, the difficulty for small businesses in getting started and complying with all the rules and regulations and the taxes and the complexity to start a small business, to keep a small business going. And now we have here the firearms industry, another industry which we want to keep passing more and more rules and regulations and restrictions on. And of course, as has been noted previously, you know, some of them are just going to choose to go to other states, whether it be Kansas to the east, or Wyoming to the north, or Utah to the west. There are many states that surround Colorado that I think are not nearly as interested in putting all these rules and regulations on the firearms industry, which creates jobs, adds to the prosperity of our state. It's interesting that the Colorado Chamber of Commerce just put out a new study where they looked at the last 5 years or so in Colorado from 2019 to the present. We've lost, by their calculations, we've lost nearly 100 businesses that either chose not to come to Colorado or left Colorado for other states. They mentioned Texas, North Carolina, some of the other states where these businesses are choosing to relocate, or they're choosing not to come to Colorado because we're getting a reputation more and more as a state that wants to impose more and more rules and regulations on businesses, make it more difficult to start up and create jobs. They also noted, I thought it was interesting, that we've lost 34 corporate headquarters of publicly traded companies. 34 publicly traded headquarters of companies have relocated out of Colorado. And so you see this going on business by business, industry by industry. Colorado, for the first time in a long time, has lost population growth. it is increasingly becoming a less desirable state to locate your business in and to create jobs in. And I think this bill is just another example of that. Continual adding of more rules and regulations on an industry, a legal industry that's operating in our state. These businesses are already subject to significant rules and regulations and inspections and safety procedures that they have to follow. And so, you know, the idea obviously with this bill is, well, let's just keep piling more and more on so we can make it less and less attractive for this industry to do business in our state. And so I think with a bill like this, you know, a number of amendments have been proposed here to have a more reasonable review process, to have appeals processes, to make the law less punitive to the business owners. And so I'm going to propose one more amendment here.
There's an amendment at the desk.
And this is a familiar amendment on these types of bills, which is simply a petition clause.
Mr. Schaffler, will you please read L68 to 1126?
Amendment L68, amend Ring-Gross Bill, page 10, strike lines 16 through 26,
Senator
and
Carson.
substitute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L68.
To the amendment.
So I think this is another bill where it certainly wouldn't be harmful to just say, okay, if we want to put all these additional rules and regulations on this particular sector of our economy, let's see what the voters think. Let's see if they are a bit concerned about what's happening with our state in terms of job loss. And that was another thing I forgot to mention. You know, probably the most significant thing in that Chamber of Commerce study was that all of these businesses leaving or not coming here has resulted, they've calculated in a net loss of 13,000 jobs that would have been created. 13,000 jobs. That's a significant number. And so I think there's a growing awareness in Colorado that we need to foster a more business-friendly environment, stop punishing businesses, and so I think this amendment would be a good way to ask the voters, do you want to do this to one more industry? Let's see what the voters think of the whole idea. So with that, I would ask for support for Amendment L68, petition clause.
Further discussion. Senator Kipp.
Thank you. I would ask for a no vote. You know, this original bill has been in place for a long time. The bill will go into rulemaking. We need the rulemaking to start as soon as possible so that we can make sure that the loopholes that people are exploiting in the original law are closed by having this law go into effect quickly. So I would ask for a no vote. Thank you.
Further discussion. The motion before the body is the adoption of L68 to 1126. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. Noes have it. L68 is lost. To the bill, Senator Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Folks, there's any business that's required to be available for inspection ought to be able to count on some reasonableness in those inspections. And so I'd like to add an amendment that would address that, please.
There's an amendment at the desk. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read L67 to 1126?
Amendment L67, amend Ring-Gross Bill, page 6, strike lines 21 through 23, and substitute 3.
Senator Baisley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the original wording here in the bill reads, "The dealer shall make the records described in this section," which is all the records on make, caliber, finish, firearm serial number, and so on. The dealer shall make the records described available at all times for the inspection by a duly authorized police officer or peace officer. So consider that. If the dealer shall make records described in this section available at all times, there's no limits placed on that. That's a 24-hour, 365-day-a-year description there. So what this amendment would do would be to limit that to in a couple of ways. One is that it says that the dealer shall make the records described in this section available during normal posted or advertised business hours for inspection by a duly authorized peace officer, and then adds that inspections of a dealer's records conducted for investigative purposes would require the dealer's consent or, appropriately, a warrant issued upon probable cause. So I think this is reasonable on both counts, that it would be limited, the inspections would be limited to when that business is open for business, not just a surprise midnight on Christmas kind of a thing, that would not be reasonable, but also that if that inspection is for an investigation, that it would need to be conducted along the lines of any other business, a warrant, or just the simple cooperation by the dealer. So that's the amendment, and I appreciate an aye vote.
Further discussion, Senator Bright.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Once again, bringing some common sense discussion to this bill. And I rise in support of Amendment L67. This amendment is very much addressing the U.S. Constitution. It's the Fourth Amendment in particular, and the protection against unreasonable searches does not disappear just because a business holds a state license. The Supreme Court recognized that closely regulated industries are subject to reduced but not eliminated Fourth Amendment protections, and that administrative inspection schemes must have defined scope, limited discretion, and adequate substitutes for a warrant. This bill, as written, allows dealer records to be inspected broadly, no time of day restriction, no clear threshold distinguishing a routine compliance check from an investigative search, and when $75,000 is at stake, I don't know about y'all, but I sure don't have that as a business owner to spend on a mistake. Amendment L67 draws a common sense line. Routine inspections happen during normal business hours, and inspections that cross into investigative territory require either a warrant or the dealer's consent. That is not a barrier to legitimate enforcement. Every inspector or prosecutor in the state works within those constraints every day. What it does do is prevents the use of an administration inspection authority as a backdoor around constitutional protections. Members who care about civil liberties should have no difficulty supporting this amendment. And I would also note that we're talking about an interpretation of a rule here, and I've heard the comment, well, it wouldn't be reasonable that the investigative authority would come along and do that at that particular time or implement that particular part of the bill, et cetera. But yet, the bill allows the very thing. And so if we don't close those loopholes for an overly aggressive inspection, then I feel like we're doing our Colorado citizens harm. And so I would encourage support of L67.
Further discussion, Senator Kipp.
Yes, thank you, and I do appreciate the concept behind the amendment. So the people who are doing the inspections in DOR are peace officers, and they do inspections during business hours. And so, I mean, I imagine that maybe if somebody comes in the middle of the night and steals their weapons and people show up at the store and they're all there anyway, they might ask for some records. But you know, that for the most part, they are peace officers and they're doing those inspections during business hours. Additionally, the consent piece defeats the purpose of the regulatory framework. And yeah, so I just really appreciate you guys taking that into consideration. we feel like we're already trying to close the loopholes and having to consent to have your records inspected when we're just trying to make sure that people are following the law. That just doesn't seem like a reasonable thing. So while I appreciate the intent, I ask for a no vote.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of L 67 to 1126. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The noes have it. L 67 is lost. To the bill. Seeing no further discussion, you were not in the well. Senator Liston, I will remind you all, be in the well if you're ready to speak on a bill. To that, Senator Liston, I'm recognizing you. To the bill.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Members, we've had a long discussion about House Bill 1126, and a lot of good amendments have been proposed. And as I was listening to the amendments and the explanation from the good senator from Fort Collins, you know, there's a lot of work that is going to be done by the regulatory authorities. We've talked about that, you know, about the inspections that must be done and all the record keeping. I don't know if you realize it, that's what I was checking on, Madam Chair, that there are over 1,800 firearms dealers in the state of Colorado. Think about that, 1,800. That's a lot. I was surprised. I didn't know it was that many. Over 1,800 firearms dealers. So when these inspections go on that are north, south, east, and west, from all the way from down in Springfield up to Craig, and from Cortez up to Sterling, and all the places in between, that's a lot of effort and expense by the department that's going to regulate that. And yet, as I look through the fiscal note, this has a zero fiscal note. So you think about these inspectors that have to go to a firearms, 1,827 to be exact, 1,827 places that, quite frankly, there's no way that they're going to be able to go to all 1,800 in a year. I think you would agree with that. Yeah. So that she said maybe 10%. So that's 180 a year, 180.27 to be exact. So, I mean, it's going to take them a long time, and you know, they're going to have to drive to these places. They're going to have to probably stay overnight in these places. I mean, it's just going to be an awful lot of work. So with that in mind, members, I won't belabor the point. Under Rule 25E, I am asking for a new fiscal note, and has been signed. I think we need a new fiscal note on this bill.
Senatorial 5. Since there has been no amendment to require the senator's request for a new fiscal note, that request is denied. To the bill. Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1126. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 1126 is adopted. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1202 until Tuesday, April the 14th.
The motion before the body is the adoption, is to lay over 1202 until tomorrow, April 14th. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. That bill is laid over. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the title to House Bill 1265?
House Bill 1265 by Representatives Rutenell and Clifford and Senators Wallace and Lindsted concerning a law enforcement agency's use of the United States Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives National Electronic Tracing System.
Senator Wallace.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1265 on second reading.
To the bill. Senator Wallace.
Members, this bill will help Colorado's law enforcement agencies coordinate to end the epidemic of gun violence, not only here in our own state, but across the nation. E-Trace is a free internet-based firearm trace submission system operated by the ATF and used by state and local law enforcement agencies. Through this system, agencies can submit a gun tracing request to track a recovered firearm's history from the manufacturer to the or importer to the first retail purchase. Because the system is federally managed, access is provided at no cost to our participating agencies. E-Trace also offers a collective data sharing option, which allows agencies within the same state to securely share trace data and view one another's shared records, while maintaining the ability to keep specific traces private when they're being used in investigations. E-Trace has helped law enforcement to identify the perpetrators of murders, of assaults, and other violent gun crimes. It assists in identifying gun traffickers and straw purchasers, and finally, it can monitor trends in violent crime, enabling investigators to solve cases faster without creating a public firearm registry. This bill would formally integrate E-Trace into Colorado's Uniform Crime Reporting Framework and standardize agency participation. Here in Colorado, about 70% of our jurisdictions already use E-Trace, but less than 1/5 of those agencies have opted into the collective data sharing, and the remaining 30% don't use either. This bill seeks to close that gap and require all state and local agencies to enroll in E-Trace and opt into the collective data sharing feature, as well as puts requirements on when they have to do that reporting so it happens in a timely manner. In doing so, we will ensure our law enforcement are utilizing critical tools to help reduce gun violence at no cost to them.
Senator Lindsted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill just fills gaps in our law enforcement agencies so that we have the data and tools we need to arrest violent criminals and keep communities safe. So vote for community safety, support the bill. Thank you.
All right, we're going to try this again, and we're going to invite people who wish to speak to the bill to be in the well and make eye contact with me so that I can make sure that I recognize you in a timely manner. Is there any debate on 1265? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1265. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. Ayes have it. 1265 is adopted. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the title to House Bill 1302?
House Bill 1302 by Representatives Duran and Bisnicker and Senators Kipp concerning the Colorado Bureau of Investigation's firearms background check operating hours.
Senator Kipp.
Thank you. I move HB 261302 on second reading.
Great. Is there any discussion? Senator Kipp.
I'll just say really quick, this bill is really straightforward. What it does is it removes the statutory requirement that the Colorado Bureau of Investigation's InstaCheck unit, the unit that processes firearm background checks, operates 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, 363 days a year. It replaces that rigid mandate with flexibility, allowing CBI to set its own hours based on actual demand. The 12-hour requirement made sense when it was written. At the time, the law required an immediate response to firearm purchase attempts, so the unit needed to be fully staffed at all hours. That is no longer the case. When we passed HB 23-1219 and established a minimum 3-day waiting period between purchase and transfer, the rationale for mandatory 12-hour staffing went away. The law just hasn't caught up. That's what we're trying to do here. The data makes the case really clearly. In 2024-2025, InstaCheck processed 343,616 background checks. Only about 31,000 of those, that's about 9%, were submitted between 6 and 9 p.m. Despite the low volume, the unit is still required by statute to maintain full staffing, supervisors, leads, and technicians during those late evening hours, including paying shift differentials. That's just really not a good use of limited resources. And resources are limited. Background check requests have declined an average of 5.6% a year over the last 3 years. CBI's revenue has fallen from $5.1 million in fiscal year 2021 to a projected $3.8 million in 2027. The agency has not backfilled 6 vacant positions since 2022, and this bill just gives them the operational flexibility they need to manage that responsibility. I also want to, I think this bill is really simply good housekeeping. It's aligning statute with operational reality, protecting a state agency's ability to manage its resources widely, and maintaining service quality for Coloradans. That's what I think we're trying to ask of all of our state agencies. So I ask for a yes vote.
Senator Zamora Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, colleagues, so on its face, HB 26-1302 seems to be purely administrative, a housekeeping measure to allow the Colorado Bureau of Investigation to set its own hours for possessing firearms background checks. I'm here to explain why the thought that this is just basic and reasonable is of great concern, because the details of this bill reveal something important about where this legislature is taking Colorado's firearms regulatory system, and about the way constitutional rights are being eroded. Not in dramatic moments, not in headline-grabbing bans, but in quiet administrative adjustments that seem too small to fight about. But when you add them up together, they change everything. So we must understand what InstaCheck is and what role it plays in Colorado's firearm system. InstaCheck is the Colorado Bureau of Investigation's firearm background check unit. Under Colorado law, a licensed firearms dealer cannot complete a firearms transfer until the CBI InstaCheck unit processes a background check request and returns an approval. This is mandatory. It applies to every licensed dealer. There is no alternative pathway. There is no federal fallback. There is no county-level workaround. InstaCheck is the sole gateway through which every single lawful firearms purchase in the state of Colorado must pass. Not one of several options, not the primary option with alternatives available. The only option. Every law-abiding Coloradan who walks into a licensed firearm dealer and wishes to purchase a firearm must, without exception, wait for the CBI InstaCheck unit to process their background check before that transaction can be completed. Now think about what that means. InstaCheck is a single point through which lawful access to firearms in Colorado flows. That gives the InstaCheck unit extraordinary power over the exercise of a constitutional right. And the question of when that unit is open and when it is closed is not a trivial administrative scheduling matter. It is a question with direct, concrete, constitutional implications. Current Colorado law requires the CBI InstaCheck unit to remain open 12 hours a day, every calendar day of the year, with only 2 exceptions, Christmas and Thanksgiving. The legislature sets that requirement. They set it deliberately. It reflects a considered judgment that Colorado's background check infrastructure must maintain sufficient availability to allow citizens to exercise their constitutional rights consistently and reliably. 12 hours a day, 363 days a year, that is the floor. That is the minimum the legislature decided was necessary to ensure that InstaCheck does not become, whether intentionally or through bureaucratic drift, a mechanism for de facto denial of constitutional access. And this bill would eliminate that floor. Not lower it, eliminate it. Replace the statutory minimum with unlimited administrative discretion. The CBI would determine its own hours based on what it calls its business needs. No minimum hours specified, no minimum days specified, no legislative constraint of any kind. So the bill states explicitly that the reason for removing the statutory operating hour requirement is this: that Colorado's 3-day waiting period enacted in 2023 has reduced CBI's need to provide immediate background check services. I'll say that again, the 3-day waiting period. It has reduced the CBI's need to provide immediate background check services. So the 3-day waiting period, which itself delayed every lawful firearms purchase by a minimum of 3 days, regardless of how quickly the background check cleared, has now reduced the urgency of immediate background check processing. So the argument goes, we might as well give the CBI the authority to reduce InstaCheck availability further. So let's think about this. First, the waiting period slows down lawful purchases. Second, because purchases are already slowed down, immediate background check availability is less critical. Third, therefore, we should give the executive branch unconstrained authority to slow things down further by reducing InstaCheck hours. Each restriction becomes the justification for the next. The ratchet only turns one way. And now consider the broader picture. If the 3-day waiting period were to be struck down by a court, which is not an impossible outcome, but given the trajectory of the Second Amendment jurisprudence since Bruin, Coloradans would suddenly find themselves in a world where the waiting period is gone, but InstaCheck is operating on reduced hours with no statutory floor. Without the waiting period's artificial delay, the availability of InstaCheck becomes critical again. A citizen who drives to their local gun dealer on a Saturday afternoon to purchase a firearm lawfully would have no guarantee that InstaCheck is open. No guarantee of any particular processing window. No recourse except to come back when the CBI has decided its business needs require the system to be available. We would have removed one layer of protection for access while simultaneously removing the statutory guarantee of the infrastructure that enables access. The compound effect is worse than either restriction individually, and we are being asked to put that risk in place today, without knowing whether the waiting period will survive legal challenge. So, to be specific about what it means to give CBI unconstrained authority to set InstaCheck hours. It means a state executive agency, not elected, not directly accountable to voters, answering to the governor, has sole authority to decide when citizens may begin the process of purchasing a constitutionally protected item. The CBI could decide that InstaCheck operates weekdays only, 9 to 5. There's nothing in this bill that prevents this. The CBI could decide that InstaCheck operates reduced hours during budget-constrained periods. Nothing in this bill prevents that. The CBI could decide based purely on internal resource allocation decisions to minimize InstaCheck availability in ways that effectively function as additional delays on lawful purchases. And once you delegate that authority to an executive agency, taking it back requires another act of legislature, and bureaucratic inertia is real. Reclaiming delegated authority is difficult. There is a principle in administrative law called the non-delegation doctrine, the idea that the legislature cannot hand off to the executive branch authority so broad and unconstrained that it effectively transfers legislative power. Colorado courts have applied versions of this principle in various contexts. And I would argue that delegating to an executive agency the unconstrained authority to determine when citizens may exercise a fundamental constitutional right raises serious questions under this doctrine. When does InstaCheck open? The CBI decides. How many hours? CBI decides. What counts as business needs that justifies reduced availability? CBI decides. What appeal process exists for citizens who cannot access InstaCheck? None specified. The legislature has a constitutional responsibility to set the parameters within which executive agencies operate. Saying the CBI may determine its own hours based on business needs sets no parameters at all, and it's an abdication, not a delegation. So just 2 weeks ago, the CBI announced a 7-day trial of expanded submission access for licensed firearm dealers. And under this trial, dealers could submit background check requests 24 hours a day, around the clock, rather than only during the 9 to 9 window currently mandated by statute. The CBI's own press release accompanying this announcement noted that analysis of the previous fiscal year shows that only 9% of daily background check submissions occurred between 7 in the evening and the end of business hours. The overwhelming majority of submissions occurred during peak hours. The CBI is exploring ways to optimize its operations within the current statutory framework. So what does this tell us? First, CBI, operating under the current statutory 12-hour mandate, is already experimenting with expanded access. The direction of that experiment is toward more availability, not less. This is not an agency straining against an unreasonable statutory constraint. This is an agency finding ways to improve service within the law as written. Second, if the problem this bill is trying to solve is operational inefficiency, the CBI appears to have flexibility to address that problem without HB 26-1302. The statute already allows CBI to structure its hours within the 12-hour window as it sees fit. The trial suggests it is doing exactly that. Third, and most importantly, if the CBI's voluntary direction is toward expanded access, why do we need a bill that gives it the authority to go in the opposite direction? Who is asking for this? It's not law enforcement. The CBI is not lobbying to reduce its own availability to Colorado gun owners. So who benefits from removing the statutory floor? Stepping back again, I just want to say the Second Amendment is a durable right. It cannot be eliminated by a single act of this legislature. It cannot be banned out of existence with one bill, but it can be degraded gradually through an accumulation of measures that each appear minor and reasonable, but together transform the practical exercise of the right beyond recognition. In 2023, this legislature imposed a 3-day waiting period on every firearms purchase. The following year, it created a state dealer licensing program administered by the Department of Revenue and required state permits to sell firearms. And in 2025, it extended law enforcement authority to revenue agents enforcing that program. And in this session, it has proposed dramatically expanding dealer record keeping, mandating electronic transition records accessible to state agents at all times without a warrant, requiring every law enforcement agency in the state to participate in a federal tracing database, and now removing the statutory floor on InstaCheck availability. Each step has been defended as reasonable. Each step has been described as modest. None of them standing alone has been presented as the dramatic restriction it is a part of. But the cumulative picture is unmistakable. A system that has been progressively and deliberately restructured to make the exercise of the right to keep and bear arms more difficult, more bureaucratic, more surveilled, and more dependent on the administrative goodwill of executive branch agencies. Who actually bears the cost of these cumulative restrictions? It is not the person in Denver who purchases a firearm once every few years and finds the process mildly inconvenient. It is the person in Alamosa who needs to drive 45 minutes to the nearest licensed dealer only to find that InstaCheck closed 2 hours ago. It is the woman in rural Weld County who has decided after a threatening situation at home that she needs to purchase a firearm for her self-protection and who faces a 3-day wait, reduced InstaCheck hours, and a dealer operating under expensive compliance mandates that have raised prices. These are the people for whom access to a constitutional right is not theoretical. These are the people for whom every administrative barrier has real consequences. The burden of over-regulation falls hardest on those with the least flexibility, the people who cannot easily work around bureaucratic obstacles, who cannot easily travel far, who cannot afford to wait. This legislature should be asking for every bill that touches firearms, does this make the exercise of a constitutional right easier or harder for the people with the least? If the answer is harder, the burden of justification is very high. And this bill does not meet that. The Second Amendment has survived more than 2 centuries of American history because the people and their representatives have insisted that it means something very real that is not subject to erosion by bureaucratic attrition. That is a right which must be exercised, and we must protect it against regulation, surveillance, waiting periods, and minimizing to certain hours. We have the right to exercise our Second Amendment. I urge a no vote on HB 26-1302. Thank you.
Senator Peltonar. Senator Kipp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry, I don't mean to butt in line, but I do want to make sure that everyone understands exactly how InstaCheck works, because there does seem to be some confusion here. InstaCheck does not need to be open when someone is attempting to purchase a firearm. You still go into the queue, and it's an electronic queue. Nobody's having to drive across the state to get into a queue. So I just wanted to make sure that that is clear. Nobody has to be at CBI. It goes into the queue, and then when they get in, they do the work. So that's kind of how it works. So thank you.
Senator Peltonar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I heard this bill in committee. It's another bill that I'm against. It was suggested, impugned, that my caucus makes decisions because of forces outside this building, and that is simply not the case. We are free thinkers. We make decisions based on our understanding. With that, Madam Chair.
There's an amendment at the desk. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read L16 to 1302?
Amendment L16, amend reading gross bill, page 2,
Senator
line 20.
Peltonar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L16.
That's a proper motion to the amendment.
This amendment would require the CBI to maintain consistent operating hours back to 9 to 9 each day, while also creating a contingency plan that requires prior statutory requirements if the state's firearm waiting period law is ruled unconstitutional. This amendment ensures reliability and predictability in background check access. The bill gives the Bureau Board discretion to set its own hours based on internal business needs, while flexibility may improve efficiency. It also creates uncertainty for firearm dealers and purchasers who rely on consistent access to background services. By establishing a clear and consistent 12-hour operating window, this amendment guarantees that background check services remain widely available each day, providing stability for both businesses and consumers. This amendment also ensures the law remains functional under changing legal conditions. It also includes a trigger that restores more structural operating requirements if the state's firearm waiting period law is found unconstitutional, like I explained before. If that occurs, demand for immediate background check processing would likely increase significantly. So with that, I urge support for L016.
Senator Kipp.
Thank you. I would ask for a no vote on L016. Basically, this is undoes the entire bill, so I really just, there's no point in voting for it if you're willing to vote for the bill. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Senator Peltonar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the reason this amendment is important, that if that bill is found unconstitutional, that law is found unconstitutional, there will be demand on CBI to do these background checks, and then it will be infringing on people's rights to be delayed in that background check. So I urge support for L016.
Further discussion? Senator Kipp.
And if that should happen, the department would have discretion then to staff it again full-time. I just don't see how this helps, but I would still ask for a no vote. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L16 to House Bill 1302. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no? No. Noes have it. L16 is lost. To the bill, Senator Rich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it was interesting listening to some of the commentary after the bill was introduced today. And I just believe that because of what I heard, have an amendment. Here you go. Thank you. You are welcome.
There's an amendment. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read L17 to House Bill 1302?
Amendment L17,
Senator
amending
Kipp.
gross bill.
I'm sorry, Senator Rich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L017 to House Bill 1302.
With proper motion to the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm hoping that you will consider this a friendly amendment. It would require that any change to the Colorado Bureau of Investigating Business Hours be made publicly available within 24 hours of the change.
Senator Rich?
I move L017. I already did that.
Thank you. For whatever reason you said, I think I misheard that you said L12. So, but now L17 has properly been moved, and
Right.
please proceed.
All right. Anyway, it would require that any change to the CBI's business hours be publicly available within 24 hours of its change. This amendment ensures transparency, and I think we all like transparency, but it also ensures predictability for business hours and for consumers. The bill grants the Bureau broad discretion to set its own operating hours based on internal business needs, replacing the current fixed schedule. Without clear notice, requirements, firearm dealers and purchasers could be left unaware of sudden changes that directly impact their ability to complete lawful transactions. By requiring timely public notice, this amendment ensures that all stakeholders have clear and immediate access to updated operating hours, preventing confusion and unnecessary delays. It just seems to me that that's not asking a whole lot. If you're going to change the hours that you give the public notice, let's not forget that the government works for the people, and I ask for an aye vote on L017.
Further discussion, Senator Kipp.
Thank you, and thank you for the amendment. And I just want to say, again, the portal is open 24 hours a day. It shouldn't really matter to the people submitting the requests when they go in, so long as they are fulfilled on time, and that is what we are giving the departments some discretion over their staffing so they can make sure that they are using it as efficiently as possible while still following the law and making sure that these checks are performed in a timely manner as under current law.
Further discussion, Senator Rich.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I certainly understand that, but you might be in an area where the portal is not always working. And, you know, there's very rural areas within the state of Colorado, and it seems to me that we should remind people what the hours are so that they're not traveling because the portal's not working. If they've changed their hours, that's an inconvenience to the taxpayers. So I urge a yes vote on L017.
Further discussion, seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L17 to 1302. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The noes have it. L17 is lost. To the bill. Seeing no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1302. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. 1302 is adopted. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 150 until Tuesday, April the 14th.
Motion is to lay over Senate Bill 150 to the bottom, to tomorrow, April the 14th. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. That bill will be laid over. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the title to House Bill 1045?
House Bill 1045 by Representative Clifford and Zakai and Senator Michelson Janae concerning housing protections for individuals with disabilities.
Senator not Michelson Janae. Senator Kipp.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we are, neither of us are Senator Michelson Janae, as much as we might look like her. However, I move HB 26-1045 on second reading.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Kipp.
Basically, what this bill does is it makes sure that we put some definitions into our state law around disabilities and housing. Because what has happened under the current administration, they withdrew notice on assistance animals, and so now people are in danger of not having their assistance animals with them in their housing, and we just want to make sure that people have access to their, disabled people have access to their assistance animals.
Further discussion, Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just want to add that without this clarification under the current law, it is becoming more and more apparent that people with disabilities are having to choose between their housing and their service animals. These aren't pets. These are required tools to get through their daily life in a dignified way and an independent way. And so we urge an aye vote on this measure.
Further discussion. Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1045. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. 1045 is adopted. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the title to Senate Bill 150? 1305, my apologies.
House Bill 1305 by Representative Lukens and Senator Roberts concerning enhancing access to inpatient behavioral health by aligning state and federal statute.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1305.
To the bill.
I do have an amendment.
Mr. Schaffler, will you please read L001 to House Bill 1305?
Amendment L001, amendment gross bill page 2.
Senator Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move L001.
To the amendment.
This amendment is some language we have put together after consulting with HCPF to make sure that another facility will be able to take advantage of this change in statute. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion on L001? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of L1. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. L1 is adopted. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill will make a technical change in statute that will close a loophole that we discovered due to a facility in my district in Eagle County that wasn't allowing mental health facilities that aren't physically connected to a hospital to be a part of that hospital system. So this changes that to ensure that any facility that's still part of the hospital system, regardless of its physical location, can take advantage and provide behavioral health services to Coloradans. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1305. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. That bill is adopted. Majority Leader Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
Motion is to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee met and considered several bills. Mr. Schaffler, will you please read the report?
April 13, 2026, Mr. President, and Committee of the Whole begs leave to report has had under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof, makes following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1126, House Bill 1265, House Bill 1302, House Bill 1045, House Bill 1305 as amended, passed on second reading in order to revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1202, Senate Bill 150, laid over until April 14, 2026, and retaining their place in the calendar. House Bill 1084, laid over until April 16th and retaining its place in the calendar. House Bill 1071, Senate Bill 134, laid over until April 17th and retaining their place in the calendar.
Senator Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the report.
The motion is the adoption committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, committee of the whole report is adopted. House Bill 1126, 1265, 1302, 1045, 1305 is amended, passed second reading, order revised, place counter, third reading, and final passage. House Bill 1202, Senate Bill 150, laid over into 4/14/2026, retaining the place on the calendar. House Bill 1084, laid over into 4/16/2026, and place on the calendar. And House Bill 1071, Senate Bill 134, laid over into 4/17/2026, retaining their place on the calendar. Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over Senate Joint Resolution 21 until Friday, April 17th.
The motion is lay over SJR 21 to Friday, April 17, 2026. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and SJR 21 will lay over until Friday, April 17, 2026. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of HJR 1026.
House Joint Resolution 1026 by Representatives Valdez and Duran and Senator Rodriguez concerning recognizing the service of former Governor Roy Romer and in connection therewith acknowledging the dedication of a portion of I-25 as the Governor Roy Romer Memorial Highway.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of House Joint Resolution 1026 and ask to be read at length.
Mr. Schaffler, please read HJR 1026 at length.
Whereas Roy Romer served the state of Colorado with distinction for decades, including 8 years as a member of the Colorado General Assembly, 10 years as the Colorado State Treasurer, and 12 years as the 39th governor of the state of Colorado. And whereas throughout his public service, Governor Roy Romer demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the people of Colorado, guided by a belief that effective government can expand opportunity, strengthen communities, and improve the lives of future generations. And whereas during his tenure as governor from 1987 to 1999, Governor Romer provided steady and principled leadership during periods of significant growth and change, helping to shape Colorado's modern economy while preserving the state's natural beauty and quality of life. And whereas Governor Romer was a tireless advocate for education, recognizing it as the foundation of a strong democracy and a prosperous state, and worked relentlessly to improve Colorado's public schools, higher education institutions, and workforce readiness. And whereas Governor Romer's leadership extended to transportation and infrastructure, where his vision emphasized long-term planning, regional cooperation, and investment in systems that connect communities and support economic vitality across the state. And whereas Governor Romer's legacy is further defined by his integrity, civility, and bipartisan approach to governance, earning him the respect of colleagues, public servants, and citizens across political and geographic lines. And whereas the dedication of a section of I-25 to honor Governor Romer recognizes not only his contributions to Colorado's transportation infrastructure, but also his enduring impact on the state's growth, mobility, and future prosperity. And whereas mile marker 204.51 through mile marker 213.13 shall be dedicated and known as the Governor Roy Romer Memorial Highway due to Governor Romer's support of logistics, community connectivity, and regional economic development. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 75th General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the Senate concurring herein. One, that we, the members of the Colorado General Assembly, hereby honor former Governor Roy Romer for his extensive public service, visionary leadership, and lasting contributions to the state of Colorado. Two, that the Department of Transportation may accept and expend gifts, grants, and donations for the purposes of the initial placement of signs to mark I-25 in Denver County at mile marker 204.51. Through mile marker 213.13 as the Governor Roy Romer Memorial Highway. Three, that the Colorado Department of Transportation may explore a cooperative agreement with the City Council for Denver County or other authority for the maintenance of the signs marking the Governor Roy Romer Memorial Highway. And four, that this designated section of I-25 shall stand as a lasting tribute to Governor Romer's dedication to public service and as a reminder to all who travel it of the profound difference that one committed public servant can have on the state. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to the former Governor Roy Romer, Chris Romer, Denver City Council, and the Mayor's office.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, you may be seated. Thank you. I just want to have it read at length. I didn't want to do a lot of speech or anything on that. This was done in the House. Obviously, the governor and his family were there for that resolution, so I just wanted to have it read at length so everybody could hear all the great things that he had done for the state of Colorado, whether it was being a representative in the House and or governor, and some of the other work that he did in Colorado and across the country. On that, I ask for an aye vote.
Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the motion is the adoption of HJR 1026. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 0 excused, HJR 1026 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call be added as co-sponsors. Consideration of governor's appointments, consent calendar. Mr. Schaffler, please read all the appointments listed on the consent calendar.
Members of the Geologic Storage Stewardship Enterprise Board for a term expiring September 1st, 2026, Ashley Ross of Golden, Colorado, to serve as an expert in geologic storage, preferably with an actuarial science background, as related to evaluating the long-term risk of geologic storage facilities. Appointed for a term expiring September 1st, 2027, Robert Randall of Denver, Colorado, to serve as a member with formal training or substantial experience in environmental protection, public health, or other relevant fields. Appointed for a term expiring September 1st, 2028, Anna Littlefield of Evergreen, Colorado, to serve as a substantial experience in wellbore monitoring, long-term stewardship, and or other relevant technical fields. Appointed.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the appointments on the consideration of Governor's appointments consent calendar, which consist of Ashley Ross of Golden, Robert Randall of Denver, and Anna Littlefield of Evergreen for the Geologic Storage Stewardship Enterprise Board.
Any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the confirmation of all the appointments on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes on the consent calendar? Senators Frizzell, Rich. No votes on the consent calendar for governor's appointments. With a vote of. So Senator Frizzell is a yes vote on the governor's appointments consent calendar. Senator Rich wants to be marked. Senator Rich is marked as a yes vote on the consent calendar for governor's appointments. With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, and 0 excused, those appointments are confirmed. Consideration of the conference committee reports. Mr. Schaffler, please read the title of House Bill 1038.
House Bill 1038 by Representative Pascal and Clifford and Senator Snyder concerning county commissioner redistricting.
Senator Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adopt the first report of the First Conference Committee on House Bill 1038.
Please tell us why.
Well, in the conference committee, we added 3 things that came from our House colleagues. Basically, when you're appointing these committees, you have 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats, and 3 unaffiliates. This would require that each of those potential appointees be a member of their party or unaffiliated for the previous 3 years. We also have asked them to establish a reasonably accessible public application process for these members. And then the members shall only be selected after no fewer than 30 days before the date the county commissioners select the commissioners.
Further discussion. Seeing no further discussion, the motion is for the adoption of the first report of the First Conference Committee on House Bill 1038. Are there any no votes? Senators Rich. Yes, on the conference report for 1038. Zamora Wilson. With a vote of 33 ayes, 2 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, the first report of the First Conference Committee on House Bill 1038 is adopted. Senator Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1038.
Further discussion. Seeing none, the motion is the repassage of House Bill 1038. Are there any no votes? What? Mr. Minority Leader, Senators Frizzell, Zamora Wilson, Rich, Liston, Baisley, Pelton R.
Consistent.
Carson, Bright, Pelton B. Before we move forward, does Senator Kirkmeyer want to be? Senator Catlin is a no vote. Do we know if Senator Kirkmeyer wants to be a no vote on this? She was a yes? Okay, very good. I do not want to reconsider a vote. With a vote of 24 ayes, 11 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1038 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Announcements. Would the Senate choir please assemble to wish a happy birthday to Senator Pelton R., who is celebrating his birthday today, and in celebration has asked for a moment of silence. All right, that's enough of that.
Senate chimes, please ring.
Come on, sing it. Okay. Ready? Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Senator Pelton.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday. Now, Senator Amabile has been waiting for a very long time to make this announcement about appropriations. Oh, Senator Amabile.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. So, provided these bills are introduced and assigned to appropriations, tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. in LSBB, we will hear House Bills 1348, 1349, 1350, 1351, 1352, 1353, 1354, 1355, 1356, 1357, 1358, 1359, 1360, 1361, 1362, 1363, 1364, 1366. Some of you will notice we missed one. 1367, 1368, 1369, 1370, 1371, 1372, 1373, 1374, 1375, 1376, 1377, 1378, 1379, 1380, 1381, 1382, 1383, 1384, 1385, 1386, 1387. They said I had to read them all. 1388, 1389, 1390, 1391, 1392, 1393, 1394, 1395. Okay, I appreciate you guys bringing in the refreshments. 1396, 1397, 1398, 1399. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to make it. 1400, 1401, 1402, 1403, 1404, 1405, 1406, 1407, 1408, 1409, 1411, 1412, and this is where it gets fun, 1410, and 1413. And any other bills as assigned. We start at 7 a.m.
Very good, very good. And now we appreciate Mr. Schaffler even more for all the reading he has to do. Senator Cutter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Transportation and Energy Committee will meet today at 1:30 in Senate Committee Room 352, and we will be hearing Senate Bill 101, Senate Bill 148, and not Senate Bill 142. We have moved that contrary to the calendar.
Very good. Senator Coker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Education Committee will be meeting at 1:30 and 357, hearing one bill, Senate Bill 145.
Senator Liston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I know I sound like a broken record, but I want to remind everybody, and I know I'm keenly aware that we have this little thing called the budget on Wednesday, but for those of you who can make it for some reason, Nano Nuclear, which I'm going to tell you about, it's going to be in the cafeteria. A lot of you have not been over in the annex yet. Very nice cafeteria on the first floor. But let me tell you a little bit about Nano Nuclear so that if you can't make it, your aides or other interested people can. Nano Nuclear is an American advanced energy company that was founded in 2022 that is focused on developing small, very small, next-generation nuclear reactors. The company is best known for microreactors, compact nuclear systems designed to provide reliable, carbon-free power for remote communities, industry, and critical infrastructure. One of their leading projects is the Kronos MMR reactor designed to deliver firm energy in places where large power plants can't be. And unlike traditional reactors that use water for cooling, nanonuclear reactors use helium for helium gas cooling, generating dependable energy without relying on our state's water resources. And the speaker, members, is going to be Oscar Leandro. He's the Vice President of Business Development. He leads the corporate partnerships and investment strategies. He will be the speakers. I guarantee you, you will be impressed. You'll learn a lot. If you can't make it, please send your aides. Lunch will be provided. Thank you, Mr. President.
You got it, brother. Senator Pelton R.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm glad floor work's starting to wind down for us senior citizens. It's starting to crowd into our nap time, but tomorrow morning, we only have 5 Bible studies left, so please come down and listen to Pastor Dan Fowle give a good Sunday school lesson, and we'll feed your belly while you're there.
Very good. And Senator Weissman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Judiciary, our list of bills is not quite as long as appropriations, but we have some work to do this afternoon. At 1:30, usual time will be in Old Supreme Court to hear, in this order, 149, 36, 159, 158, and 96. See you there.
Very good. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, colleagues, for the work today. We will be recessing as we allegedly have some bills to read across the desk later, so there's no need to return. On that note, Mr. President, I move the Senate adjourn until recess until 1:30 p.m. today.
Everybody calm down. He doesn't have a script in front of him. He did a very good job without a script. That is a proper motion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will recess until 1:30 p.m. today.